Kia ora, and welcome to Thursday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news that two big policy set pieces have been underwhelming. First up today, the US trimmed its policy rate by 25 basis points as expected, bringing the target rate to 3.75 to 4%. It issued a timid wait-and-see review, which would be consistent with growing divisions within the policy-making committee, and growing worries that inflation is returning, even as their labour markets weaken fast. Policy during stagflation requires a choice. One group wants the low interest rate juice now, and the other takes its inflation-fighting mandate seriously. Immediately after the announcement, the S&P 500 dipped slightly, the US Treasury 10-year yield rose a few basis points, and the US dollar changed little. The announcement had no impact on the gold price nor the Bitcoin price. Earlier, it was reported that mortgage applications rose 7.1% last week from the prior week, mainly on the back of pent-up refinance activity. Mortgage interest rates dipped, but only minorly, and were probably not the reason for the jump, which came after 4 consecutive weeks of decline. But having noted that, the small rate dip did take them to their lowest level in more than a year. September pending home sales in the US were soft, dipping 0.9% from the same month a year ago. This followed a 3.8% rise in August. And as expected, the Bank of Canada trimmed its policy rate by 25 basis points to 2.25% in its overnight decision. It said that the Canadian economy is adjusting to tariffs and the sharp drop in demand for exports. The reconfiguration of global trade and domestic production is leading to higher costs. Total inflation there has been around 2%, while underlying inflation remains at about 2.5%. Following the decision, their central bank boss suggested their easing cycle may be over, as they expect cost pressures to rise as their economy goes through this adjustment phase. And Malaysia's producer prices dipped slightly in September, down 0.8% from a year ago, but this was the least in 6 months, as deflationary pressures seem to be past them now. Meanwhile, Singapore's producer prices are on the upswing. They rose 3.7% in September from a year ago, the most in 6 months. It was more for factory products, for those surging about double that rate on a year-ago basis. In Australia, inflation is rising, and by more than expected. Their monthly inflation indicator reported it rose 3.5% from the same month in 2024. The RBA meets next on Tuesday to decide its cash rate, and this seems to put the kibosh on the chance of any cut. In fact, a rate hike might get some airtime in their review. At the APEC meeting in South Korea, all eyes are on the Xi-Trump meeting results and how far Trump has backed down. Of course, both sides will talk up the outcome, but early signs are that things like China's resumption of soybean imports from the US will be nominal at best. Trump's deals with both Korea and Japan have long-tail implications that may not work out for the US, but the short-term optics are all that matters at present. Demand for air cargo transport rose for its 7th straight month, up 2.8% in September globally from a year ago, up 3.2% for international air shipments. This was led by a 6.9% rise in the Asia-Pacific region and lagged by the 1.4% retreat in North America. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now at 4.03% after the Fed announcement, and the price of gold will start today at $3,993 an ounce, up $38 overnight and making back yesterday's drop. And American oil prices are up 50 cents at just on $60.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is on $65 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is now just on 57.8 US cents and unchanged from this time yesterday. Against the Aussie, we're down 10 basis points at 87.7 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're up 10 basis points at 49.7 euro cents. That all means our trade weight index starts today at just under 62.4 and up 10 basis points from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $111,195 and down 3.7% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been moderate at just on plus or minus 2%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.